fighting for consumers. That's what mywireless.org is certainly all about, and standing up for their rights is what RedState is all about as well. And Erick Erickson is the editor of RedState. It's a real pleasure to have you with us here, Eric.
Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, let's talk about just taxes, wireless taxes, and your perspective on this, about the structure as it is in America today, and kind of what gets you going with respect to why we are where we are.
It's so convoluted. I was actually a city councilman in Macon, Georgia, and on the Public Properties Committee. So in addition to being in charge of leasing out the land so that cell phone companies could put their towers there, also dealing with the tax issues that come through. And it frustrated me, even in government, and not just being a consumer, seeing how local governments, county governments, state governments, the federal government, they've gone beyond nickel and diming people on wireless bills. And frankly, you actually hear people say that, oh, well, the cell phone bill's so convoluted, they're never going to see what they're being taxed. We're being taxed a lot.
Right, almost 17% on average. And when you hear a figure like that, or if you're a consumer, what do you think the reaction is when people find out they're being taxed probably 2.5 times as much as the general sales tax?
Well, that's it exactly. I think most people think that it's a sales tax issue, and so, oh, well, I live in a place where it's 7%. It's not. It could be so much more than that, 17%. And I think if people understood just how much they're being taken advantage of, and it really is being taken advantage of people, because it used to be that when you had the massive brick cell phone, it was a luxury, but now they're almost a necessity. I'm one of the few people I know in my Sunday school class who even has a landline phone anymore. Everyone's switching to cell phones.
Landline? What's
yeah, exactly.
You mean something attached to the wall there?
Yeah, something. I actually have one of those bricks that are attached to the wall with a physical line, yeah. But I've got my cell phone and I never actually used the landline.
So what can we do then, you think, if you're talking about getting some civility or sanity to the tax structure? What do you think makes sense? I mean, the Wireless Tax Fairness Act, is it certainly a good step in the right direction?
Yeah, I think it is, and it's going to take consumers to get educated through places like mywireless.org or through RedState to be able to understand exactly what the issue is. It's not an easy issue necessarily to understand, but it can be made easy to understand through proper education, through mywireless.org, through RedState, through outlets who actually care about this issue, so they can call their congressman in particular to try to get some sort of national structure. You know, being a federalist, I kind of like having the states and local communities having rights and abilities to pass laws, but this is this is an interstate commerce issue where we've got to have some sanity brought to the mix, because it doesn't seem right that a person in Maryland traveling through Washington buying something on the West Coast can be taxed repeatedly for one transaction. It doesn't seem right that me in Macon, Georgia can have my city council milking me for all I'm worth out of my cell phone bill without me really even knowing it.
Or that somebody maybe in Nebraska of all places paying 22, 23%, and somebody who lives out maybe in one of the Dakotas is paying 4 or 5%. I mean, there's quite an inequity there, and we're just trying to find a way to create some sense or some balance.
Yeah, you know, when I was a practicing lawyer, I did a lot of transactional law, and there seems to be over time an evolution of sense in general transactions that you have to have a national framework. The states can have their own laws, they can do their own thing, but it makes commerce between the states, it makes commerce within a state a lot easier if a business that's in Washington State going into Florida has a general sense of how the law is going to work, how the taxation structure is going to work. It applies with technology, it applies with my iPad, it applies with my cell phone. Just being able to have some sense that I'm not going to be nickeled and dimed, I'm not going to be taken advantage of, that there is a uniform structure for competition between companies.